my goodness, what an absolute finish for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Get the overtime win over the Edmonton Oilers on one of the wildest sequences you will ever see. We'll break it down on today's Locked On Lightning.
You're Locked On Lightning, your daily podcast on the Tampa Bay Lightning, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Lightning your first listen of the day. Every single day, we are your free daily Tampa Bay Lightning podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. As always, we want to begin with a shout out to our everydayers, those of you who tune into every single show, every single day. We love you. We appreciate the support you give us week in, week out. I'm Nick Morgan, and I'm joined by the Tammy Wynette to my George Jones, Greg Stephen. Greg, welcome in, my friend.
What a game. And let me tell you, I'm just going to start off by bragging. I told you that Nick Paul was going to score in his first game back, did I not?
You have been saying that for a while now.
Yeah, at least a week and a half, I think.
Yeah, we were not sure when Nick Paul was going to be in the lineup, but you called it. So stick taps to you. You get a plus in our plus-minus segment. Yeah, insane game last night. A lot to talk about from this one. Obviously, the last sequence that led to the game-winning goal, that's something that's worth diving into because that is one of the craziest sequences I think you'll see in the NHL all year long. Obviously, we talk about Nick Paul, his first game back in the lineup. How did he do? We have an unsung hero step up for the Lightning in this game. News isn't all great, though. Victor Hedman now on injured reserve. We'll talk about that news and the impact that is going to have on the game. A lot to get to on today's show. So let's dive right into it by talking about the Lightning's 2-1 overtime win over the Edmonton Oilers. And Greg, not the game we thought we were going to get. But
No.
I think if you're just a neutral fan who likes just seeing two teams battle it out, this was a game that you liked.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was wild. I obviously, when the 2-minute marker hit, I'm like, oh, really? We're not even going to score a goal? And then my hero, Nick Paul, comes in, baby.
Yeah. Let's dive right into the recap for those of you who weren't able to see the game last night. Not a good start for the Lightning. Turnover in their own zone early. I'm not going to say who, Greg. I'm just not.
I will. I'll say it. Okay. Emil Lilleberg with an atrocious backhand. Oh my God, I can't even. Ugh. Anyway.
He made the wrong play. He should have continued cycling the puck. He didn't. It's fine. It's all fine.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm not mad.
That led to a 1-0 lead for the Oilers just about a minute into the game. Big back and forth the rest of the game. Andrei Vasilevskiy, I thought, made some great saves on this one. Calvin Pickard got the start for the Oilers. He made an incredible save. I want to say late first, early second, just the diving save across. Kind of looked like a soccer goalie on a PK, just sort of diving across his net there to make a stop. Good goaltending back and forth. And again, as Greg said, we get to about 2.5 minutes left of the game, and it's still 1-0 Lightning. And then here goes your buddy Nick Paul with, let's just say it, Greg, a great goal to tie it up right at the end of regulation.
Yeah, what a move and what a shot too, especially for a guy who hasn't skated in a regular game in a while now. I mean, just excellent, and he's always so reliable in like these tight situations. It's just kind of the player that he is, and he did it.
And then comes overtime and the sequence of the game. First off, in the action, I thought the overtime action was great. Back and forth. Both teams got a couple of good chances. Each got some time to set up. Oilers come in. Andrei Vasilevskiy makes an initial save, makes a save on the rebound. Puck is lying right there in the crease with an open net directly there. I want to say, I think it might have been Darnell Nurse that comes in late All he has to do is tap the puck into the open net and this game is over. Everybody thought. You see Andrei Vasilevskiy sprawled out face first on the ice, just subtly lift the pad up, and the puck just slams right off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing save from Vasilevskiy, his best save of the year. If you haven't been on social media, that clip is everywhere. But what does it lead to? Lightning have numbers the other way, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, you get to Jake Guentzel, comes breaking in, takes the feed from Darren Raddysh, slips it past Picard, and the Lightning win it 2-1 in overtime. Every single player on the ice skated back to the Lightning zone to mob Vasilevskiy after that one. Obviously, Jake Guentzel is the overtime hero, but Vazzy made that happen.
Yeah, he did. And just such an incredible effort by Vasilevskiy. And we've kind of been a little wishy-washy with him lately. Mm-hmm. But you see something like that, and you say, that's the big cat, you know?
Yeah, I have a feeling that we're going to be talking about that here in just 1 second, too. Mm-hmm. Wink, wink. Speaking of, let's get to our plus-minus from this game, Greg. Greg, what'd you like about this one? What's your plus?
I feel like there are a lot of good things about this game, but I've got to give it to Nick Paul. I mean, coming back after such a long injury and then just stepping up in, one of the final minutes of the game and making a play like he did, I think that's just remarkable. And it's tough to not give it to Vasi after what you just talked about. But yeah, I'm going with Nick Paul. I think just impressive that he's able to just step in like that right off this kind of long-term injury and make a play.
Yeah, well, let's talk about his performance coming up a little bit more in depth later in the show. But I'm with you. It was good just to see him out there. Mm-hmm. Obviously he got a big reaction from the crowd when he came on the ice for the first time. The fans loved him, and obviously getting that goal right at the end. What a way to have your return. Greg, as I teased, I'm going to give a plus to Andrei Vasilevskiy in this game. And it's important that it was literally 1 week ago on the show that we were talking about Vazzy's yips and whether we were going to be concerned. Because look, even though his numbers had slowly been climbing up, he made a couple of, had kind of let in a couple of goals that you're like, that doesn't look like Vazzy. The New York Rangers game a week ago today was kind of the culmination where he just let in a lot of goals that Vazzy probably shouldn't have let in, like prime Vazzy shouldn't have let in. And then we get to last night, and I think the last couple of games we've seen Andrei Vasilevskiy, he looks like Andrei Vasilevskiy.
Yeah,
and
completely agree.
The focus is there, the awareness is there. I think he looks like he's moving better, which, it's only been a week. So I don't think it's like this big thing. It's like, oh, he suddenly got very healthy. I just think he's a little bit more locked in. I think he's looked a little bit sharper these past couple of games. And obviously, everybody's talking about the save in overtime last night, but I thought he also made a couple of really good saves to keep it a 1-0 game throughout the course of the game last night. So yes, 6 taps to Andrei Vasilevskiy. He looks back, Greg. He looks back.
He does. He looked excellent last night for sure.
Yeah. Let's talk about minuses. Greg, if you had to pick a minus from this game, what would you go with?
I'm gonna go with giveaways. 17 giveaways in this game recorded on paper. Not a great number. And the Oilers' goal was just an obvious giveaway, right? We just talked about that by Lilleberg. And even again, Kucherov had quite a few. I think a couple on the power play where I was kind of like, yikes. Just a little bit careless with the puck in this one. Kind of lucky that some of them didn't turn into something more for the Oilers, which good, but still, you got to be a little more mindful with the puck.
Yeah. 17 giveaways as a team for the Lightning last night, 5 by Nikita Kucherov. We're not going to talk about who had the second most.
Is it Lilleberg?
Yes, it's Lilleberg.
Yeah, shocker.
It's fine. He's been playing better, Greg.
He has.
Greg, I'm going to have to be a little bit humble on this one. I'm going to give a minus to us picking the over-under on our preview shows.
Yeah.
What were we super confident about yesterday?
Yep, we were gonna hit the over.
It was going to be high scoring. It was going to be a shootout. McDavid was going to get his points. Draisaitl was going to get his points. The Lightning offense were just going to wake up and absolutely pepper a bad Edmonton goaltending situation, and it was going to be like 6-3. We slammed that 6.5 over on total goals so hard, and we were
wouldn't even
so
hesitate.
wrong. We were so wrong. Defensive battle, great goaltending on both ends. McDavid doesn't get on the score sheet. Draisaitl only has a point, and God, we're. I want to look back. So if you're listening to this and you have the time, you can go back and see what our record is. But I think we have correctly picked the over-under once ever on this show.
That might be right. I'm not sure.
Yeah, God,
I try not to think about it too much.
We are bad at predicting this, or bad at predicting, or at least the amount of goals scored.
Yeah.
But it's
funny because
it's against. Go ahead.
After we slammed the over yesterday, I was like, haha, now we're going to see a 1-0 game. And then when it was 1-0, 2 minutes left, I was like, no way, I just jinxed this.
Yeah. But it's in our defense, it is against conventional wisdom, right? Because you look at the story of these both teams, and the Oilers as a whole this season have been a team that scores a lot, can't play defense, and doesn't have goaltending. And the Lightning are starting to score more. So you would think that it would be very back and forth.
Yeah. And both goalies were struggling too. So it's like, it kind of makes sense, but
whatever. Hey, Lightning got the win, right?
Yeah, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
I'll be wrong every day if they win.
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather talk about a win and be right than talk about a loss and be right.
Yeah.
Win and be wrong. Whatever. It's early in the morning. I don't care. All I know is I hate the over-under. We're still going to do it.
Of course.
Just caveat of we'll probably be wrong. Let's go back to a prediction we were right on. You were right on, Greg. And that's Nick Paul scoring a goal in his return. Let's talk about his return to the ice a little bit more in depth. We also have an unsung hero from last night that I want to call out. And then we'll get into maybe the sour note of the day yesterday, which is Victor Hedman going on injured reserve, an update on his status and how the Lightning move forward without him. We'll talk about all of that on today's Locked On Lightning. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch. Let's be honest, most of us can't name all of our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between all the 401ks, the savings accounts, the investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface, either on your laptop or on your phone. It was super easy for me to get organized. All I did was link my accounts, my bank accounts, credit cards, investments, all that good stuff. And within seconds, I could see clear categorization of my spending so I know where my money is going. It helped me get a better handle on my investments so I can make smart moves and plan better. Basically, it just helped me understand where all my money is going and how to make it work harder for me. So if you want to try it out yourself, don't let this financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for 50% off your first year. Welcome back to Locked On Lightning. Nick Morgan here alongside Greg Stephen and Greg. A lot of intriguing storylines from last night's 2-1 win for the Lightning over the Edmonton Oilers. Let's start with just the big one that we've been talking about, and that's Nick Paul back on the ice for the first time. Obviously scored that goal right at the end of regulation to send it to overtime. But what did you see from him before that? What did you think of Nick Paul's return to the ice?
I thought he looked great, honestly. Maybe like slightly rusty on his first few shifts, but overall, I thought he played very well, and he skated 15 minutes, 3 shots on goal. He was +1. Obviously, he makes a great play and scores a goal. He's just that guy. Like he's always been that guy where you're not going to get a hat trick out of him every so often, right? He's not that guy, but when you need a goal in a big moment in a tight game, he steps up. And we saw that in the playoffs, I think 3, 4 years ago, where he like tight games. He's just that guy. He knows how to come up clutch in moments where we need something big to happen, and he just makes phenomenal plays. He's such a good shooter too. His
Mhm.
shots are so well thought out, and yeah, I thought overall his whole game looked pretty strong, especially for a guy who hasn't played in a hot minute, right? I mean,
Yeah.
when was the last time he even played? I can't even remember, but it's been a while. So to
Yeah.
step
End
in
of
like
last
that,
year. So
right, exactly. So to step in like that is impressive.
yeah, I loved how involved he was. It wasn't like it wasn't like an edited or milked down version of Nick Paul. They just sent him out there full send and go and say, just go do the things that you're used to doing.
Right.
Um, and I kind of think maybe that is, how we were joking about Nick Paul's been skating for a month, and for a month
Right.
we've seen Nick Paul is close to getting back in the lineup. I think maybe that's a benefit of John Cooper taking it a little bit slower with his return and making sure he's up to full strength. Because we saw last night, you were able to just put Nick Paul on the ice and say, okay, go forecheck, go be aggressive, go fight for loose pucks, go finish your checks. We saw that last night. 4 hits from him, 2 takeaways. So, he was successfully, I think, really trying to get, front and center with whichever Oiler had the puck. So I think I love that we didn't see like a Nick Paul light.
Right.
We got the full Nick Paul experience in his return last night, and that's good to see
Yeah.
because
I
the
think you made a great point.
Lightning needs some energy like that.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I think you made a great point. Like taking your time with him to fully feel comfortable and heal was very important. And I think there are guys who do rush back into the lineup and, they get re-injured or they don't look so great. And I actually really enjoy how, and I guess we don't really know if it was Paul or Coop's decision or maybe, a collab decision, but yeah, the patience to make sure he's 100%. And maybe he could have gone 2 games ago, maybe he could have gone last game,
Yeah,
but to wait and be certain of that, I think that's why you get this goal. You're rewarded for your patience, and yeah, love that. I love that decision.
um, yeah, I'm with you 100% there. Another guy that I want to talk about is Darren Raddysh.
Mm.
Now, here was a guy, Greg, that was my
You
weirdest
just
Chris
Collinsworth.
Collinsworth impression right there. Here's a guy, Greg.
Yeah, he is a guy.
This guy here, big Patrick Mahomes energy. No. Darren Raddysh was a guy that we talked a lot about as his defense was his weak spot, right? We knew he could score from the blue line. We knew he was a really good puck carrier. We just know that in his own end, he wasn't the best. Do you want to guess how much ice time Darren Raddysh had last night?
23 minutes, 24.
27 minutes, 38 seconds of ice time for Darren Raddysh. And he was everywhere. He was getting starts in his own zone. He was getting starts in the neutral zone, obviously on the attack, because we know that's where he does best. I don't know what I'm watching, but this version of Darren Raddysh is
Yeah,
the
he's been
best
insane.
all-around hockey player that we've ever seen from number 43. And I don't know where it's come from, but all of a sudden, this guy is coming up with some clutch, heady plays on both ends of the ice. And we saw it last night, the forward through to kind of create that lane to get the puck from Kucherov and OT. And then he was able to feed Guentzel coming in for the game-winning goal. A very heady offensive play, but it's not just offense, Greg. I thought his defensive positioning was great. he had a lot of minutes against Connor McDavid, which if you would have told me that was going to be the dynamic like 4 weeks ago, I would have been like, oh, I'm definitely hitting the over on the over-under now.
We're looking at 8-0.
And he played great. And this is not the first game that we say, oh, Darren Raddysh has looked great. In the last few, I think he's really stepped up. And I almost gave him my plus because I want to call that out. But yeah, like what's with the Darren Raddysh redemption arc all of a sudden, Greg?
Yeah, great question. I don't really know what's going on, but look, I'll take it. Like you said, I think over the last few games, he's looked like a whole different player. And he's a guy early. I almost did a Collinsworth too.
He's a guy.
He's a guy. No, earlier on, maybe between 5 and 10 games ago, I would tell you I don't even want him on the ice. And now
I was with you.
Yeah, and now it's like after the last, I want to say 3-4 games, I'm kind of like, make sure he's in the lineup because, with Hedman out and other stuff going on with this team, we need a defenseman that's going to step up, and he's looked so good. Just remarkable. And now that you mentioned it, I pulled up his stats. At 27 minutes is nuts. 26 shifts is nuts.
Yeah.
And 4 shots on goal with an assist, 2 block shots, a hit. It's just a great performance by him again, and I love it. I think it's important because having a really strong offensive defenseman that can also play good defense is critical, right? And he's looking like that guy right now. So yeah, let's go Raddysh.
Yeah, big kudos to him for stepping it up because look, obviously there's a lot of health issues in the blue line right now. We need a Darren Raddysh because look, with no Victor Hedman, Darren Raddysh last year was the second best offensive defenseman on the Lightning. Mm-hmm. And so I do think that they need somebody like him who can carry the puck, that can set up plays. It was just the defense was kind of the bugaboo, which is not exactly what you want to hear from somebody who is a defenseman naturally. But this type of play, that gives me a little bit more confidence of having him out there for those big moments and having the Lightning use him more. And it seems like that's the same for John Cooper as well. Mm-hmm. Speaking of defense, Greg, it's not all good news. The Lightning getting an update on Victor Hedman's injury, and it's not great. We'll talk about when we could see the Lightning captain back on the ice and how the Lightning approach his absence when we come back. Today's episode is brought to you by Rugiet. Let's be real, y'all. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. And we've heard them all before. It's just stress. I'm tired. It happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support, and that's okay. That's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rugiet makes it easy to get started. You just connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, so no awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments, and if prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit Rugiet.com/LockedOnNHL to get 15% off your first order. Again, that's Rugiet.com/LockedOnNHL. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnNHL at checkout so they know we sent you. Rugiet, stop making excuses and start making moves. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. It's not just hockey in full swing, folks. The NBA is back. There's been some good games on the hardwood so far this year. And whether you're a fan of the Magic, the Heat, or another team in the association, there's no better place to get on the hoops action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, here's where you make your money. You can combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's right. All you have to do is download the app, Put $5 down, and you can win $300 to use across the app however you want. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Again, FanDuel.com to download the app and place your first $5 bet. We are back on Locked on Lightning. Nick Morgan alongside Greg, Steven, and Greg. We're celebrating a big win over the Edmonton Oilers, and we're celebrating Darren Raddysh stepping up on the blue line. We're going to need him to step up a little bit more because we got an injury update on Victor Hedman yesterday. And according to John Cooper, Victor Hedman is going to be out at least a couple more weeks. Went on to injured reserve yesterday. Injury still undisclosed. We don't know exactly what happened. All John Cooper said was that it's not related to the one that kept him out of preseason a little bit. So how are you taking this news of Victor Hedman being out for a couple of more weeks, Greg?
I mean, it sucks, right? Like he's probably your best defenseman overall. And I think it's really also a big loss because he's your captain. And obviously you can still voice in the room, but I think it's just a little bit different when you can't get on the ice. But then, you look even further and Chernak's been out, Grozier's been out, Hedman's now out. They just keep adding up for this team and not so good. Luckily, we have guys that have been stepping up like Dastu, and he's been playing he's been playing a little better lately. So, we want to keep seeing that happen. And with Raddysh, like we've been talking about, stepping up massive. I thought even Carlisle, he looked pretty good out there. Yeah. So not particularly concerned for the team as a whole overall. I think they do have enough to slot in for now. But yeah, I think it's going to hurt them for sure.
And obviously, we don't know McDonough's status either. All we know is that he's probably, we haven't heard any update on him, which makes me think he's going to be out a little bit longer too.
Yeah, I think so.
Obviously, Steven Santini comes into the lineup. I think that's almost going to be the key, Greg, is to keep trying to find guys that you can sort of rotate in. I'm with you. I thought Dastu played better last night in sort of a bigger role. And not the best game from him last night, but I do think Emil Lilleberg has done better at stepping up.
Yes.
So far successfully, knock on wood, but I think the guys that you want to step up in a situation like this, they've been coming through. And I think maybe that's the one kind of positive takeaway that you can take from this is that they're proving that they can handle. I think my biggest question is just the workload over these next couple of weeks because the Lightning have a lot of hockey, 5 games in the next calendar week. So they're not going to get a lot of break. And you have guys like Steven Santini, like Darren Raddysh, who haven't necessarily been everyday players in a while. Like, Raddysh obviously was healthy scratched a lot this year. Steven Santini, even when he was in the NHL, was sort of a rotate in and out guy.
Right.
Well, that's my only question is, can you get through this next stretch where there's a lot of hockey and do what you've done consistently? Guys like that rotate in the lineup, their job is come in, bring some energy, bring a little bit of a different dimension. And then once that, wears off a little bit, they're healthy scratched again. Or when somebody's healthy, they're back in the minors or healthy scratched. Darren Raddysh has played great. I want to see him do that for 5 games in the next 7 days.
Yeah, for sure. And I think another guy we don't speak about enough is Moser, just because he's not super flashy or anything like that, but he does his job. And, with him there, you feel more secure as well. And like you said, with Raddysh and Lilleberg playing much better lately, looks fantastic. And Dastu has proven himself, to me at least, despite maybe struggling over the last few. And then, like you said, you got 5 games in the next 7 days. This is a busy time for the Lightning. And I wouldn't say the schedule is particularly challenging, but I wouldn't say it's easy either. I mean, your first battle here is against the Caps, and they just scored 7 goals, I think 3 nights ago, and then last night they put up 8. Like they're looking amazing right now. This is a tough game, and it's away. And then you take on Philly and Calgary after that, and then you got Detroit and the Rangers, and you got to win the Detroit game, in my opinion. You got to get those 4 points in the division, and it's just a big week for this team. So stepping up with these guys is going to be really important. We need them to slot in and do their jobs. And I think, again, just a side note, you want Vasi to keep doing what Vasi's been doing.
Absolutely. Here's obviously a big week ahead. That those Rangers like Red Wings games are back to back on the weekend, starting the day after Thanksgiving. So
and on the road.
So I mean, you mentioned there's going to be a little bit of chaos there. Some players are going to be doing Thanksgiving and then traveling. It's going to be a good test, I think, for the mindset of this team as well. Let's end the show with just a quick look back at the 2-1 win last night. Anything else that we didn't cover, Greg, that stood out to you we love positivity. Anything else last night that you really stood out to you in a good way?
Oh man, I had a negative.
Okay. All right. Well, let's have a dark 5 to end the show. What's the negative?
Brayden Point doesn't look so good.
No.
I don't even know what else to say. It makes me sad because I don't know what happened.
Better in the face-off circle last night, I will say.
Yeah, but even like watching him with the puck and like in certain situations where you kind of watch him and you're thinking, that's not a play you'd normally make, you know?
Yeah.
It's really irking me. I don't really understand what's going on with him. I mean, he had 5 shots on goal, but he was still -1. I don't know.
Yeah, the impact isn't there. Something just looks off about him. I don't know if it's an injury that we're not hearing about or what, but it's at the point where I think it's a storyline, and I think it's at the point where it's like I do hit the panic button on Brayden Point.
I'm with you. Yeah.
Because the play hasn't looked up to par. And obviously the results, the scoring hasn't been there this year. And it's weird because if you look at his numbers, it's not bad.
No.
It's not good. It's below what he's used to, but it's also not bad either. It's like I can't figure him out. But something is noticeably off.
Oh yeah. Like something is just, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I can't even put my finger on it, but to be -11 is wild on this team.
Yeah,
give us a positive. Send us off with a positive.
To be Brayden Point and be -11 this team when Nikita Kucherov has turned it around, when Brandon Hagel is on fire, when Anthony Cirelli before he got injured, he was on fire. Jake Guentzel's been on fire. You have all these combination of players around you who have played great. And for you to somehow in any combination not find any footing with any line mates and be able to get yourself going, it's odd. Like it really is odd. And that's just from a stats perspective, but just watching him play, his impact hasn't been there either. So
right. And like you said, Cooch was -8, I think, at one point, and Point was -10. And now Cooch is up to -3. And Point is now -11, so to go in opposite directions is puzzling, to say the least.
Yeah, it's odd. That maybe requires a deep dive next week. Yeah, obviously a good way to end the week. Lightning take on the Washington Capitals tomorrow, and then it's a big slate of games next week. You got Philly, you've got Calgary, you've got Detroit on the road, you've got the Rangers on the road. It's going to be a little bit of a tough stretch. And yeah, the standings may not be as kind to some of these teams coming up, but it's obviously, I think, a lot of tough scheduling in there. Lightning are going to have their hands full, so they'll need to pick up the momentum. Hey, that is going to do it for us on this week's slate of shows on Locked On Lightning. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day. We'll be back next week with all new episodes. We'll see you then.